Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty amazing. A single protein that's like your body's own hidden guardian, waging this constant, invisible war on your behalf. So, let's kick things off with a question. What if just one protein in your body could fight off bacteria, viruses, and inflammation all at once? I mean, a single molecule with that kind of multi-pronged defense, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But the thing is, this incredible protein is a totally fundamental part of our own biology.
Well, the answer to that question is a glycoprotein, which is just a fancy way of saying a protein with a sugar molecule attached to it, and it's called lactoferrin. You've actually got it all over the place, in your milk, your tears, your saliva. I mean, think of it like the security guard stationed at every single entry point to your body. So let's figure out how it got that job.
All right, so to really get a handle on just how powerful lactoferrin is, we've got to go back. Way back. We're talking about its discovery in the lab, and even all the way back to the very beginning of our own lives. So, get this, it was first spotted way back in 1939. Scientists found this reddish protein in cow's milk, but it actually took another 20 years until 1960 for them to isolate its human counterpart from breast milk. And this timeline isn't just some boring history lesson, okay? It's our first huge clue about just how vital lactoferrin is for protecting us literally from the moment we are born.
And check out this chart, because the difference in concentration is just, wow. Human colostrum, a mother's first milk, is absolutely packed with lactoferrin. We're talking way, way more than in mature milk or cow's milk. And that right there, that's exactly why people call it liquid gold. It's basically a newborn's first and most powerful immune defense system, all in one.
So, how exactly does it protect us? Well, this is where it gets really cool. It's not just a one-trick pony. Lactoferrin has this whole toolkit of what you could call secret powers. Let's open it up and see what's inside.
I love this quote. Think of lactoferrin as the Swiss Army knife of your immune system. It just nails it, right? Because this protein is truly multifunctional. It's got this incredible array of tools that it can use to protect you, and it adapts to whatever threat it's facing.
Okay, this is absolutely key to understanding how it works. Its function literally changes depending on whether it's carrying iron or not. So when it's empty, that's the apolactoferrin form. It's like a hungry scavenger, just looking to snatch up any free iron it can find. That's what makes it so incredibly good at fighting bacteria. But then, when it's full of iron, the hololactoferrin form, it becomes more stable, and it switches roles to act as a regulator, especially at sites of infection. So one of its main tools is something called a bacteriostatic effect. And that might sound complicated, but it's actually pretty clever. Instead of just a brute force, kill-everything attack, this is a much more strategic way of neutralizing threats. And here's the genius of it. Lactoferrin literally starves harmful bacteria by stealing their food. You see, a lot of those nasty bacteria need iron to grow and multiply. Lactoferrin is like an iron magnet. It has this crazy high affinity for it, so it just swoops in and binds up all the free iron in the area. What it does is create a state of what's called nutritional immunity. It's basically starving out the bad guys before they can even get a foothold. But wait, there's more. Starving bacteria is just the beginning. Lactoferrin can also go on the offensive. It can be directly bactericidal, which means it can punch holes right through the outer membranes of bacteria, killing them on the spot. It doesn't matter if they're gram-positive or gram-negative. And you know those slimy protective fortresses bacteria build called biofilms? Yeah, it stops them from doing that. Oh, and it even prevents them from sticking to our cells in the first place by causing them to clump all together, which basically makes them harmless. All right, so we've covered bacteria. But what about viruses? Well, turns out lactoferrin is a powerhouse antiviral agent too. It's like having a dedicated bodyguard for your cells, blocking the door before viruses can even think about getting in. And its strategy is so simple, it's brilliant. Look, viruses need to latch on to these specific docking sites on our cells to get inside, right? Well, lactoferrin plays a game of beat you to it. It goes and binds to those very same spots, which are often these sugary molecules called heparin sulfate. So when a virus shows up, its favorite parking spot is already taken. No entry. Infection stopped cold, before it even begins. So it's not just about fighting off invaders. Lactoferrin is also like the body's master diplomat. It helps calm down inflammation when it gets out of control by telling those chemical messengers, the cytokines, to just chill out. And remember how it loves iron? By locking up all that stray iron, it also prevents the formation of these nasty molecules that cause what's basically cellular rust or oxidative damage. It's not just a fighter, it's a guardian of balance.
Okay, so we have established it's an incredible natural defender. But here's where things get really exciting. How are we taking all this knowledge and actually putting it to use in the real world, in medicine? And this table here is really just a snapshot of what's happening. Clinical studies are showing that giving people lactoferrin supplements, which usually come from bovine milk, can have huge real-world benefits. For example, in premature babies, it helps cut the risk of deadly sepsis. For nasty gut infections like H. pylori, adding it to the usual antibiotic treatment can actually boost the chances of getting rid of it. And even for things like respiratory infections, it helps reduce the risk and helps you recover faster, especially in kids.
But here's a really fascinating twist. It's not just a defender, it's also a messenger. Its presence, or lack thereof, can tell us a story about what's really going on deep inside our bodies.
And the perfect example of this is something called the fecal lactoferrin test. So here's how it works. When you have inflammation in your gut, your immune cells, these guys called neutrophils, rush to the scene. And when they get there, they release their contents, and that includes a bunch of lactoferrin. So by simply testing a stool sample for lactoferrin levels, doctors can get this amazing, non-invasive snapshot of what's happening in your intestines. It helps them tell the difference between things like IBD and IBS, which is a huge deal. So we've looked at its past, we've seen what it's doing right now. So what's next? Where does this incredibly versatile protein go from here? Well, let me tell you, the future looks pretty bright. The stuff on the horizon is really exciting. I mean, we're already seeing it being used to fortify everyday foods like milk and cheese. Researchers are working on these clever delivery systems, think tiny protective bubbles, to make sure it survives our digestive system and gets to where it needs to go. And the research is just exploding into its potential as a targeted therapy for everything from IBD to lung diseases.
And that's really the bottom line here. This ancient, natural protein is being rediscovered by modern science. It's this single molecule, perfected by nature over millions of years, and it still holds so much untapped potential for our health. It's just an amazing testament to the power of nature's own designs. So that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. As we face all these new health challenges in the world, could this ancient guardian actually be one of our keys to the future? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining our explainer.